Hi everybody, in this video I'm going to be showing you how I put easy chain snaps in the bottom of the On the Grow Romper from Apple Tree Sewing Patterns. So if you watch my channel a lot, you will know that I don't do a lot of kids sewing because I don't have kids. But recently I had a nephew, and on Michelle's Instagram, you should definitely go check her out, I saw the On the Grow Romper pattern from Apple Tree Sewing Patterns. And I thought it was a really interesting idea, very sustainable, because Apple Tree Patterns makes Grow With Me patterns, which means that her patterns are made to fit for multiple sizes and fit a child for longer, so you're not throwing away so many clothes for them. Just my luck, she has the On the Go Romper available as a free pattern in the size 3 to 12 months, which is exactly the size that I need for my nephew, so I decided to give kids sewing a shot. In order to get this pattern for free, make sure that you join the Apple Tree Patterns Facebook group and follow the instructions on the pinned post. This pattern is made to fit multiple sizes with a few different features. First of all, there's multiple snaps at the top so that you can shorten the snaps. There's also a drawstring on the inside so that you can shorten the body, and then the cuffs can be folded in multiple ways so that you can shorten the legs. The only thing that this pattern didn't have that I feel is really important for very young children, like in the 3 to 12 month size range, is easy change snaps on the bottom so that you don't have to take the whole romper off in order to change the diaper. It's actually a really easy alteration to make in order to put snaps on the bottom, so I'm going to be showing you how to do that in this quick video. All you need are some cam snaps and some grosgrain ribbon. Apologies for the lighting situation. There's no longer any sunlight to sew by once I come home from work. So really to start, you just make the romper exactly how the directions say, all the steps all the way up until you get to sewing up the bottom part. And you cut it the same and everything, don't worry about it. The other thing that you need to do is you need to cut a strip of your contrasting fabric. And this can be a woven if you want to make your snaps, put your snaps in a woven, in which case it should be cut on the bias. But I think that the cotton lycra I used for contrast everywhere else works just fine. Your strip that you cut should be 2 inches wide, but if you accidentally cut it 1.5 inches like I did, that's okay. I'll show you what we're going to do. You can use your regular machine or your serger. I'm just using my serger because it's fast and easy. You want to sew this at 1/2 inch of seam allowance, and since I only have 1.5 inches of my contrast strip, I'm going to sew that at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to try my hardest not to cut off any of the strip and to cut off whatever would amount to 1/2 inch of seam allowance on my other fabric. Okay, and then what you want to do is just slightly stretch it while you're sewing so that it helps go around the curve. Alright, once that's all sewn on, you want to go to your ironing board and press, just kind of like you're doing a bias binding, press inward, halfway, and then all the way up so that you would be covering that seam allowance. So that's all pressed, and it's time to go to the regular sewing machine. Okay, so I've got my machine set to a 3-part zigzag, and I also have some grosgrain ribbon because this is what's really popular for using to stabilize your snaps. I'm going to basically bind this inside of the binding that we've made. I actually think I've done this the wrong way around, but my first side came out looking really good on both sides, so it shouldn't actually really matter. So I'm just placing the grosgrain ribbon inside of the little binding that we've made and folding it back over. You could use a ton of pins here, but I think it's a waste of time. So I'm just going to make sure that I hold the folded edge right over the edge of my serging. While you're doing this, you do want to try to not stretch it out too much, and so that's one reason I'm using a walking foot. And so by using the 3-step zigzag, I've tried to just reach the very edge of the binding, but also go and catch the grosgrain ribbon so that it won't pull out at all. And it's as simple as that. Now it's time to add the snaps. Alright, so I've gone ahead and done a few snaps already, but basically what I did was I found the middle point, and then I measured out and marked all my snaps. And this is the front of the romper. So I want my male snaps to be on the front of the romper with the nice sides facing up. So I'm going to keep doing those snaps. And I also don't want the snaps to go too close to the ends because we still have to sew the cuffs on. So now that we're all done with the front side, it's time to do the back. And on the back, we want just the opposite. We want the female snaps on the back, but we want the female sides to be up and the nice sides to be on the inside. So first, I've got to mark all of my snaps. You can do this by matching them up, probably is the best way to do it. Again, with this side, we want the nice side on the inside of the fabric. That's it. Now we can just snap it up and treat it as if we actually sewed the bottom. So how we're going to attach the cuffs is we're just going to attach the cuffs like normal. So this won't open up all the way down, but it'll open up enough that it's pretty easy to get baby's legs out of it for changing time. So we're going to start by sewing the cuff up, just like in the directions, with a 3/8 inch seam allowance along the long edge. And then you're supposed to fold it in half. Okay, so now the cuff is on the inside of the romper leg, and basically where I've pinned together the end of that seam and matched it with the seam on the cuff. And so this is a lot of layers to go through, so you want to be really careful watching your machine when that's happening. Don't forget to remove your pin. Alright, there we have it. One pant cuff. All of the snaps in the crotch area for easy changing, and then they run into the cuffs at the end. So basically, you would just open them up and then slide baby's foot out of the cuff. Easy change on the Grow Romper. I hope that you guys liked this pattern alteration and that you go out and try it for yourself. I'm going to be giving it to my nephew in this upcoming week at the holidays, so make sure that you follow me on Instagram so you can see all the adorable photos of him wearing it. In the comments below, let me know what your favorite sustainable sewing pattern is. Thanks for watching.